In the previous video, I showed you how industry is superior to farms. The observant amongst you might have noticed that I did not build any trade items unless they directly gave me food, like olives or fur. That begs the question, is industry superior to trade items? But without accompanying proof, dear listeners, I can already hear those voices in my head. Hello, we've been trying to reach you regarding this following tall claim. Excuse me, but I would like to speak with the manager. Could you get him, please? Surely this has no basis in reality. This contravenes my thoughts and processes, so it must be false.
Don't you have to be stupid somewhere else?
Ladies and gentlemen, lovers of war, traders of great renown, I, the strategic Indian, bid you welcome to my channel, where our motto is think, practice thinking. If you like the content, please do not forget to like and subscribe. Also, leave a comment, which will greatly help with the almighty YouTube algorithm. Trade items, as their name suggests, can be traded with partners for wealth and give certain bonuses, some of which are pretty powerful. Certain trade goods are necessary for mid-tier buildings. Most relevant of these are wood, marble, and iron, while others, like dyes or spices, are required for endgame buildings. Pause. Fun fact: furs are needed to build the Langobard unique building Freedman Commune. I don't know why they would do this and why I would know this, but such unique twists is what makes Attila the greatest Total War game ever. Trade routes must go from capital to capital. Therefore, you must either have access to a seaport if you're landlocked, or share a land border going directly to the capital of your trade partner. Let's go into a particular case. For example, the Franks, when they trade with the Western Roman Empire, the trade route goes across the entire Western European coastline, entering via Genoa and finally ending in Mediolanum. This is despite the fact that they have a land border with the Western Roman Empire at Colonia Agrippina, which says that sea routes are preferred. Now, do you want to trust this tenuous lifeline, or do you want to forge your own path? Sure, you can trade with the barbarian neighboring factions, but you compete with them to complete your starting provinces, so you will probably end up being at war with them. Also, fellow barbarian nations are tiny kingdoms, like my ex-manager's fiefdom sitting in his ivory tower. How much trade can they do? You need big trade partners like Western Roman Empire or Eastern Roman Empire, who with their enormous size is able to absorb and trade said goods. But at the end of the day, shall it be enough? Let's get into how permanent is your trade and reasons for trade shutdown in Total War Attila. Point 1. The AI betrays you because of, please insert 1 in 1000 reasons. Number 2. The trade partner's capital is temporarily besieged. This happens a lot when you are trading with the Western Roman Empire, whereby some idiot horde goes and besieges Mediolanum and cutting off all of that vital trade. Third, the route to your trading partner's capital is blocked. So if some group is able to capture Genoa, all the trade to WRE is immediately stopped. Fourth, your port or land route is hindered. So if you get blockaded by any remnant factions or any province or any particular city of yours gets taken away from you, then your trade route can be stopped if there is no direct trade route. Additionally, if you don't have enough trade partners and you build up your trade buildings, you create a glut of resources. Untraded resources equals wasted money. Now, unless you can discover a middle-aged version of Wish.com to dump your mediocre products for unsuspecting customers to buy, you are stuck. But me, I make superior products, good quality, long lasting, and great return on investment. Let's get into the data. But first, a little memory flashback. It all began when I captured the province of Medea Atropatene, hosting the historic city of Ecbatana while playing as Himyar, a desert faction. I was at total war with the Western and the Eastern Roman Empire, the Sassanid Empire. They were sending armies. But here, in this city, this great, beautiful city, I noticed that you have the ability to put down a textile mill, which is known as a silk trader for some reason. And the Sassanids had done so, or the Atropatene faction, which controlled this place, had done so. Now the question was, should I break this one down or should I keep it? Well, I do total war, so I don't trade. Now let's assume that you do trade. Which is better? A silk trader giving you 160 silk and textiles to trade, or I put in a dirty and lucrative real estate known as an adobe mill or adobe something, adobe 4, giving me 2500 gold. So which one is better? Now I've taken this data whereby I put in the industry values for desert factions. They're slightly better than barbarian factions in that their tier 4 building tier gives them 2500 gold, whereas barbarian factions give you 2000. So you have a little bit of an offset. It's better building. And always remember that to go to tier 4 of any industry, whichever faction you play, is much faster than if you were to go to the tier level 4 of a trade building. So that is there to consider. That there is a gap in between research between achieving tier 4 in either of them to maximize the costs and the money coming out of it. So if we then look at silk is something that, it's highly romanticized. There are thousands of historical stories of Mongols going down to China, burning it to the ground to capture this nice amount of silk. And so had I had captured silk. So should I keep it? That's the question. And if you notice one thing, I took this silk because it's not a low tier trade item like marble, wood or iron. It's not a high tier item like gem or spices, which are far more difficult to get to. If you play as Aksum, you will see why it's difficult to get to silk, to spices. But notice something off the bat. It takes me 20 turns to build silk to tier 4. Whereas it takes me 10 turns to go to tier 4 of city industries. And the building cost is nearly triple, from 9,000 to 25,000, right? So if I factor these two and we take time is equal money, so we have a factor of 2 here and more or less factor of 3 here, we have a factor of 6 times already why trade is worse than industry. You can get to this faster at a cheaper rate and earlier, and thereby going to profit. But now, is that assertion or is that data? Trade buildings give you money only when you trade them. So if I produce 20 items and they cost 20 each, then I get 400 if I'm able to ship out all of these. You don't have that problem with industry. You get the benefit of 375 compared to 400. So you see, you are getting less, but you are getting it right off the bat. Let us assume a 5% bonus. Because, for example, if you play, I was playing as Himyar, you get 5% industrial bonus, and I have put that in. Now, once you go to tier 2, you don't just make, 900 more than what you were making. You make an incremental increase of 551 doing this trade. So if I pay 1,000 gold, build this building, and then I pay 1,500 more, I don't suddenly start getting 900 more every per turn. No, I get 551 compared to what I was getting previously. So keep that in mind. Attila tricks you a little bit. So on and so forth. So you can see that there is a bit of diminishing returns as you go to higher tier in industry. But that is not the case when you go for Silk Trader. You get great jumps. I mean, going from 3 to 4 and from 2 to 3, you go almost double, and then this is almost another double. But you don't do that. You double going from 2 to 4 right here. So the game is actually focusing you and giving you lesser returns in case of trade. But my contention is that we are going to be able to beat trade despite all of this, despite these jumps. Now we'll do a few assumptions while I plot out the data. So I have in yellow the trade items and in gray the industry items. So okay, we'll get to that one later. We go ahead and we pay for the building creation. Now we assume a few things. We assume that the next tier of either chain is immediately available. So as soon as you build building 1, you can immediately build building 2. It doesn't take into effect the research differences which come in, because it might take you 10 turns to do it, but it takes you 2 turns to actually build this building, right? So we assume that everything is traded, everything is researched, you are able to build them like sausages coming out of a mill. Now we have another assumption whereby we assume that you can build these buildings and you have all the gold in the world. You can build them. You don't have any strategic hindrances that, the place that you want to build it, something comes in, besieges it. You don't have that. You are able to build these things clean. Assume Pax Romana. The whole world is at peace, or Pax Hemiaria, or Pax Sassania. Whatever you wish, you have complete peace across your entire empire. Thirdly, only for trade goods, we assume that you are able to trade 100% of your goods without hindrance. So nobody is going to stop trade for all the 4 assumptions that we did in the beginning. Right? Now, what we do is we pay money. It takes a few creation turns in case of trade, but it's quite a lot. So we have 2 turns, we don't get anything. So our losses are still 2,500. But on the 3rd turn, we do get this item. Right? So then our losses go down a bit. Then you go ahead and put in the order for the next tier of building. You start getting money till you build the next building. Then you put in the order for the next tier, so on and so forth. And your gain and loss takes into account over here the cumulative money that you're getting from the previous turns and the cost that you put in, which is the cost of the building itself. And trade goods are expensive. So I've taken a silk minus 11,500 for your 4th tier building, whereas I'm paying 4,000 gold for a 4th tier building and an industry building. Okay. Now it takes me 25 turns to see profit. From when I begin starting to trade, and this is the best of all the assumptions. You trade everything out, you get the buildings immediately available, you are not held up by research, you're not held up by the strategic situation on the map, but it takes you 25 turns to get to profit. Let us conceptualize what is 25 turns in Attila. From the beginning of the game, which is 395 CE, to the time Attila is born in 400 CE, that is 20 turns. And therefore, that is a period of great stress because your entire empire is stressed. Especially if you're playing as the Eastern and Western Roman empires, you are stressed to the max. You're surrounded by enemies. And you then cannot, under any circumstances, go ahead and put in all this money and make sure that you can trade it all out and do all of that while you are being pushed to the hilt by the barbarian factions, by the desert factions, by Huns. That is what, and that's just 20 turns. This is 25. That's 2 more years that we're talking about over here, at least. Now let's move over to industry, shared industries, as we say over here, boys. First turn, you go ahead, put down 1,000 gold, you don't get anything. Next turn, you're getting 375. You can leave this running and within 3 turns you have your return on investment, but we are not doing that. We are going to stress the system and put down the next tier of building. And then we wait for it to complete the next year, the next year. I put in and I stack everything against industry. And what do I have? At the 12th turn, I have turned a profit. Naturally, this is not possible to do because you won't be able to go ahead and do the research. But please, we are doing a theoretical understanding of the problem. Now remember, in every natural science, whenever you are contemplating any great problem, you must break it down to its first principles, followed by repeated improvements and iterations till you're almost able to replicate real world data to its asymptotic limit. We are simply looking for the trend, and for this level of inquiry, the assumptions that I have taken do not and shall not contravene the observed trends. So take it with a little grain of salt if you so wish, but I can assure you that the end assumptions shall definitely match. Finally, let's go ahead and plot this. So what started in Medea Atropatene with the AI building a Silk Road bazaar turned into and sent me down a gigantic rabbit hole. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you a graphical representation of an absolute statement on how OP is Total War Attila's industry buildings. You see this profit over here after 25 turns? You need a microscope to see that, and somebody needs to tell you where to look for it. Look at this industry income in the meantime. It's busy and it can't hear you because it has a boat to park inside its boat. The most supreme flex in the history of Total War Attila. Virgin Trade versus Chad Industries. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Now remember, I told you way in the beginning, you need certain items to build certain buildings. Where are you going to build those? Well, that's a story for another day. Stay cool, everyone.